Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the training session for the cultural conversations that we're going to be having on April 20th. I'm Eden Norris. I am the volunteer and training coordinator here, and we are going to be talking about kind of what our clients experience and our students, and what you're going to be talking with them about, and how we can go about this and what it's going to be looking like on Tuesday. This is Pragya. She is our workforce intern. If you want to say anything about yourself before we get started.
Yeah, I'm the workforce intern here, and I'm a senior at Vanderbilt University, and I'm really excited to participating in this event with you all.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and this should be a relatively shortest presentation, probably around 30 to 40 minutes. So let's get started. So firstly, the fundamental mission of NICE, which is really important to how we approach all of our students and how we are going to be teaching everyone on Tuesday, is just to make sure that we're approaching this as an opportunity to fulfill and ensure our students achieve their full potential now in generations to come. The purpose of this presentation and of this event is to kind of get our students connected with what it looks like to be a working professional in the United States, and to inspire and push them to pursue higher education and making the best of themselves. So firstly, we serve a variety of students in our education program. I'm going to move this up so we can see all the definitions. But we serve refugees, asylees, and immigrants. A lot of our students are refugees, and those are people that are defined by the UNHCR. They are set apart as a refugee based on a recognized fear, persecution for their race, religion, nationality, or membership in a particular social group. We also serve asylees. Those are less common. These are people who come to the United States as an immigrant. They come in, maybe they are students, or they fly, or they just kind of, they come to the United States and they seek sanctuary and to be recognized in some ways as a refugee on a case-by-case basis. So it's not as recognized, it's not a group that's recognized internationally, but a more case-by-case. And finally, refugees and asylees are both considered immigrants, but for the case of this presentation, we also serve immigrants, and those are people who come from a foreign country, relocate to live in the United States. They technically are able to move by choice in our definition, and can return to their home country at any time. Within NICE, we serve a variety of people. These are just some of the refugees that we receive within our students and within NICE as an organization. So you might meet some students from any of these countries. We have quite a lot from Burma, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Middle East. You might notice a lot from Iraq or Syria, and a lot of Spanish-speaking refugees and immigrants as well, from all over South America and Central America. I'm going to briefly go over what the journey of a refugee is. It should be about 5-10 minutes. It's a pretty intense process and requires a lot of steps, but I just wanted to summarize this so you know what our students go through as they're coming to the United States. You get a better idea of where they're coming from and what their experiences are. It is important not to push any of our students into telling you their stories. We want to kind of give them that chance on their own. So while you're having these conversations during the culture conversations, don't overreach, overstep, and try to get their story, unless they're comfortable saying it, and give them their own time to tell you what they've experienced. So in general, refugees go through a variety of steps to come to the United States. The first of those is to flee their home country. There are a variety of things that they can do, but all of the students that we see and the clients that we serve have gone through resettlement. In reality, only 1% of refugees are actually given this option, and a lot of others choose to do local integration and voluntary repatriation. But those that we're going to be meeting on Tuesday are going to be those who have resettled into the United States. that journey is what we're going to kind of be covering today, and it goes, does take a bit of time. So essentially, a refugee flees from their home country, arrives in a camp, and that whole process might take anywhere from a day or two or a couple of months. Once they arrive into their home country, they are there for about approximately 20 years, which is a very long time, as they're undergoing the resettlement process of being reviewed, having their case reviewed by the UNHCR and the International Office of Migration, which takes about 3 years. Those are then sent to the US Department of State, who are going to be go through the process of background checks and interviews and a lot of other things to make sure that those who are coming into the United States it's safe for them to come to the United States. After they are processed and have all of their interviews and are set up with that whole security process, they are allocated to a VOLAG, which is a volunteer agency for NICE. It's the Ethiopian Community Development Council. They're then brought over to us for a resettlement site, and then the refugee is notified and they come to the United States. We're the first to know about that, and they have about a week after they have been technically resettled with us to sell the possessions and come to the United States. Finally, when they're actually in the United States, they have a flight. They are given a flight, and then they come into the United States, and we find them an apartment, help them sign up for insurance, and all these things that happen in this critical 90-day period where they are the first 90 days in country. And then after all of those 90 days, they are sent to they are moved into our other departments for longer term, up to 5-year care, and also are given an opportunity to participate in our English classes as well. So many of the students you might see have been here for a couple of years or longer, especially with the levels that we're going to be talking about right here. So we are going to be working with level 3, 4, and 5 students. They are people who maybe have been here from anywhere, maybe from 2 years to 10 years. You don't really know where they are in their English journey. But we are going to kind of be talking about what their levels are, what they go through, what their technical, their standards are for CASAS, which is how we test and place our students. So all of these descriptions are actually from the CASAS website and what they define within our levels at NICE. So level 3 are students who can satisfy basic needs and have conversations, kind of basic conversations. They understand learned phrases that they learned in class, and then some new phrases that with words they understand. They often speak slowly, and they're going to recognize it better when you speak slowly and repeat a lot of the same words that they know already, and they might recognize new ones, but they're not quite at the level where they can talk with a whole bunch of new vocabulary based on roots. So I'm going to show you a quick clip from our level 3 class, so you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about with their level of English. In this clip, the students are talking about they're asking advice about for this hypothetical student sister, and they're going to be describing what's going on and giving advice, potential advice. And we're just going to watch a couple minutes of this so you can see what they know, what they struggle with, and pay attention to how the teacher is speaking to them as well.
Bola, what is the problem?
Her sister lost. The problem, his sister lost her job, so he wants to help her to paying her bill.
Very good, very good. That is a very good summary of the problem. So what is your advice for him? Who has advice?
Want to help her. Yeah. Find good job for her.
Okay.
maybe advising to look for a new job or.
Okay, good. So we might say first, you could help your sister look for a new job. Good. What's some more advice?
Help her to pay the bills.
What's the advice?
She cannot.
Help
She
her.
can apply for some. I don't know how do you say help with the bills. For example, one of her bills is with the water. She can apply for some help.
Yes, some help, some assistance.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
support.
you could. What's that? Support?
Yeah.
That was just kind of a brief example of an activity that one of our level 3 classes did. You might notice that that the teacher spoke slowly, had it written down just in that case, so they could see visually what they were talking about. We don't have to do that, obviously. But you also might have noticed that there were different levels of English in that class. So one student, she could describe, she knew what she was talking about, didn't know the word, and she could describe with basic English words about a situation. But then other students also stepped in and supported her and suggested some words that they knew that were a slightly higher level. So you did notice also in that instance, the teacher was speaking slowly, repeating what they were saying to make sure she understood correctly, and maybe gave some polite suggestions of words as well. In that case, they were actually talking about words that you might use. So it's just keeping in mind who you're speaking to and what their level of vocabulary is. So maybe instead of talking about applying for unemployment and doing an unemployment application and applying for governmental assistance, you use that word by saying, you simplify that sentence by saying they need extra support and help from the government to pay for bills when they're struggling. So there are simplifying those complex ideas into more basic English words. Level 4 students they are at the level where they can satisfy basic survival needs and limited social demands. They can have higher levels of conversation and can converse semi-regularly. They can follow oral directions in familiar contexts, and they all have the ability to understand the telephone versus just trying to read your lips, which is also an important thing to do. Make sure that your students can see what you're saying. It does help to read lips and see how your mouth moves. They can also understand new phrases containing familiar vocabulary and roots as well. So I'm going to show you a clip of the level 4 class. In this case, we have Michelle who's subbing in, and they're talking about stress management. They're reading this paragraph that has some higher level words. So I want you to pay attention to the words and to what they're saying that they don't understand and what they do understand. This will be once again another just a couple minutes.
Words in here that you're not sure of. We'll go over a few of them and then we'll move on to the questions. So let's start at the top, this first paragraph. Any words in here, and if you're not sure, you can just say I don't know that one and we'll talk about it. Anything in the first paragraph that we're not sure about?
First paragraph.
Everybody's okay with that first paragraph?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Now let's go to the second one. What causes stress? Any words in here that we don't know?
No.
Everything good here? So this is saying that stress could be positive and negative, right? Like having a baby, getting a better job, that causes stress, but it could be good stress, could be a little bit healthy. But if we have too much stress, then that can make us sick. Okay, what about this next one? Signs of stress. Anything here that we don't know?
Teacher, what mean elevated blood? Blood I know, but elevated.
Good, elevated. This is a good word to know. Does anybody know the word elevated?
I think it is to make up your blood pressure. Blood pressure is high.
Yeah, so elevated means to get higher. Okay, think about a mountain has elevation, tells us how high a mountain is. So if something is elevated, it means it's getting higher and higher.
Like elevator.
Exactly, yes, like an elevator. It's getting higher and higher. Yeah, but it's not good. So you can have elevated blood pressure, elevated, sometimes people have, like if you have diabetes, your sugar could be elevated. Lots of medical things. We use this term elevated, just means it's getting higher. That's a really good question. What is this? Do you guys know grinding your teeth?
No.
What does that mean?
You push your top teeth and bottom teeth together.
Yes, you push your teeth together, maybe squeeze it really hard, or some people move them back and forth. That's called grinding, and it's terrible for your teeth. But
Okay, so that was once again another example of the different levels of English that we see within one class, and the vocabulary that the students might recognize. So they did know a lot of words like motivated and more, I don't know, unique and a higher level of vocabulary, but also the understanding there was a variety of understanding within the class. So just recognizing that once again, some students might pipe in if someone doesn't know a word, maybe asking the class, well, what does this mean? And having students kind of suggest that as well. There are different levels, and they are able to have those higher levels and describe things and make connections between root words, elevated, elevator, elevation. So just once again, recognizing the levels of English that you're using. Finally, we have level 5 students. These students, there is not a recording that we have of them, but they are much closer to fluency. They are in some ways higher than level 4. They are higher than level 4, and it goes from higher than level 4 is able to have satisfy survival needs and social demands and communicate on telephone, participate in conversations. So this is the lowest level of level 5, and it goes all the way up to fluency in our program. So these are the levels that you're going to be seeing from some students who you might have to use more simple vocabulary, to others that you might be able to use higher, and then fluency. It's also important to remember that our students, once again, have these changing varieties within each level, but each of these levels are also the levels that we use to have our students actually participate in our citizenship classes too. So these are the students who've been here for long enough and who could pass the citizenship test because they have the understanding of vocabulary, history, et cetera, et cetera. So keeping that in mind as well, that these are kind of our higher level students, so they are able to have more in-depth conversations. So I'm going to pass it off to Pragya, and she is going to talk about what it's going to look like interacting with our students and what the day's actually going to be looking like.
Thanks, Eden. I'm going to reiterate what Eden just said about interacting with students. So when you speak, you should be clear in your enunciation. Sometimes we take it for granted that people will understand us, but we should speak really slowly and pronounce your words really clearly. And as Eden said, you would want to use basic vocabulary and simple words and avoid like multi-syllable words, like very complicated words. You also want to avoid jargon or idioms, slang, colloquial language, or sarcasm, because that could confuse our students a little bit. Just keep it plain and simple. Apart from that, you should be respectful of differences. They may not have the same social adeptness that you may be used to, and you should be respectful of that and not be taken aback by that. And also many students sometimes have their cameras off because of cultural differences. They may not be comfortable being recorded. So that's okay too. That's something to keep in mind. Some students have their kids around while they're in class. It can get noisy. So these are just some things to be aware of and not be taken aback by when you're in the session with the students. Another thing I want to emphasize is that be comfortable with silences. Students may take a while to understand what you're saying and formulate their responses. So you don't want to feel uncomfortable with the silence or feel like you need to fill it up. Just give them their time to respond. Apart from that, well, when you're interacting with students, it's a very casual conversation. You don't have to only talk about your professional life. They want to know about like your home life, your hobbies, what you do. You can ask them about these same things as well. Just try to find common ground and connect with them on things that are common to both of you. For example, if you both have children or if you both have pets, like maybe you could discuss like what you like to do with your children, what you like to do in your free time. So it's intended to be more of a casual conversation than just what you do at work. And apart from that, just overall, like approach them with a sense of empathy and open-mindedness and a friendly spirit. Just look at it as an opportunity to get to know someone who's from a very different culture than you are. And I think it's very exciting that we're all getting to do this. Here I'm going to discuss what the structure of the event will look like. So the first 10 minutes of the event will just be introductions. You get to introduce yourselves. You can include any details that you like, your name, where you live, where you work, and maybe briefly what you do at work, but again, in like really basic, simplified language. What you like to do in your free time, like what you like to do around Nashville, maybe. And anything you like, something more like global, like maybe your favorite cuisine or like a country you would like to visit. That's something that could be common ground. And during this time, we may even include an icebreaker or two to get them comfortable with interacting with you. And after the introduction is over, we're going to go out into our first breakout session. So each volunteer will be paired with one or two students, and we're all going to break you out into breakout rooms where you can have an opportunity to interact with them one-on-one. And during this breakout session, they're going to be asking you some questions, and you are going to be asking some questions that we will elaborate on in the next few slides. It's just an opportunity to get to know them better, have one-on-one conversations with them. And then we come back from the breakout group to discuss what everyone learned about each other. Like primarily the students will share what they learned about their volunteer. This gives them the opportunity to practice their communication skills. And of course, the volunteers are free to share what they learned as well. We would repeat that 2 times based on how many students we have in that class and how many groups we're able to make. So we'll shuffle volunteers around with different students so everyone can get a chance to speak with each other. And after each breakout session, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come back to the main session and discuss what everyone talked about. And finally, when we're done with the breakout sessions, you can offer them words of advice or encouragement based on what you learned about them. You can tell them if you want to stay in touch or if you could be of any help to them in the future, and just bid goodbye to everyone on a good note and offer them advice if you have any for them. So these are the kinds of questions you can expect from students. As I said, it's not strictly just about work, but it's intended to be more holistic. They might ask you, where do you work and what you do at your work? And do you like it? And what do you like about it? They want to know more about what to expect in a professional setting in America, because a lot of them haven't worked in an office setting before. So you could talk a little bit about that, like how it is interacting with your colleagues, interacting with your boss. I mean, how much free time you get after your job. You can talk about those things, about work-life balance pretty much. And then what does your day look like? What's your daily routine? And if you have children, And how do you manage both these aspects of your life? How do you manage your work life as well as your family and your hobbies? They can ask you about that. They might ask you for advice as they look for jobs in America. Again, just reiterating to give them advice like in a very simplified manner. Yeah, they can also ask you about what you like to do in Nashville, what you like about work. So these are some of the questions that you can expect from them. Next, these are some questions which might be interesting to ask students. And before we delve into that, it's important to note that, you should be respectful of their stories, their backgrounds. A lot of them may not want to share stories from their home country or their history, and that's okay. Like it's important to be respectful of that and not push them to share more than they would like to. You can ask them their name, where they're from, how long they've been in Nashville, like just the general information like that. And when did they come to the US? What do they like about the US? It's also going to be valuable if you ask them a goal that they have for the future. And this doesn't necessarily have to be like a goal about jobs or higher education. It can be anything, but it would be nice to get them thinking about their future goals. You can ask them what they like to do in their free time and what their hobbies are, what they're good at, like for example, cooking, sewing, singing, art, anything really. The point here is to find some common ground that you can both connect on. Then you may also ask them what was challenging for them adjusting in life in the US. They may not know how to fully answer that question, but it's still good to talk about, and just don't push them for answers. You can ask them about their daily routine, if they have any children or pets, what they like to do in Nashville. So just an overall framework of questions. I think that was all from our side. Eden, would you like to add anything?
No, thank you guys so much for coming, and we're so excited to have you guys. This is a really exciting opportunity. I know Pragya has been working very hard on it, so I think we're both just really excited to for you all to have these conversations with our students, and I know they're also very excited as well.